Hey everybody!
What's up?
We're back with a new after show.
Yes.
We are doing a Star Trek Discovery. We're still working on the name.
Yeah, provided that CBS doesn't take this down.
Yep.
So, please don't demonetize us, CBS.
Never know, man. They wouldn't let us do a trailer reaction.
So who knows?
Yeah.
But we watched the first 2 episodes of Star Trek Discovery that were released recently. How'd you enjoy them, Jared? Is you someone who doesn't really have a huge functioning knowledge of Star Trek? You've got like the movies and that's it.
Yeah.
By your own admission.
As far as like a show, I would say it was fine. Like, Star Trek's not really my cup of tea. It never has been.
Right.
But I would say if this is following like the movies that I've seen, it was okay.
Well, it kind of appears to be, which is sort of my problem that I have with this show. I'm gonna front page this right now. I know that's not actually a word, but I'm gonna make it a word. I'm gonna put this out there right here and now. Most of my issues with this show are minor technical problems. I have like 1 or 2 continuity gaffes that I really stuck out to me real hard. But there were just a bunch of little things that needled me throughout the show that kept me from being like, man, I'm 100% on board for this.
Yeah, did you say?
I still want to see more of what they do. But at the same time, I can very easily see this going badly.
Yeah, as far as the show goes, I'm still giving it my 4-episode rule.
Right.
And that's where, if you don't have me captured and a sense of where you're going within 4 episodes, I'm out.
That's good. That's a good rule for any show. I'm probably going to end up giving this the full season run because it's Star Trek, and I've watched every season of Star Trek ever. Some of which I regret. Thanks a lot, Enterprise. But getting on to Star Trek Discovery, I took notes.
Okay.
Lots and lots of notes. Jared, did you?
I did not.
You didn't. So it's just going to be me looking like an asshole talking about all the things I took notes about. Nice!
I don't have things to take notes about.
Well, you can take general notes. Just be like, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense. I thought we were going with this.
There was...
You can meet me in the middle here.
I just... Like, I thought it was overall, like, an okay show.
Okay.
I didn't really need to take notes because I don't know Star Trek that well.
Well, let me start out this by the first thing being very, very good. The opening intro, I like it a lot. It bridges a nice gap between a more modern variation of a show intro while still combining aspects of the original series intro, mostly in musical tones and themes that or at least visual themes that present themselves throughout the intro. So I thought it worked well and looked good. First question: what class of ship is the Sunju? I don't know how much you know about the classes of ship in Star Trek, but it looked like a cross between a modified NX ship, which is the version from Star Trek Enterprise, and a Miranda-class ship, which is the ship that they fought in Wrath of Khan.
Okay.
So that's what it looked like from there. There's a scene in the beginning when they're helping this planet, which we're going to talk about this in a second, but I was questioning whether or not ships could officially enter atmosphere. Sometimes they have, sometimes they said, no, we can't, the gravity is too much, we'll never get the ship back out. And
yeah, they were right in the atmosphere on that one.
Yeah, they were like right over the planet. But again, that's kind of been an on-again, off-again non-issue they've had in the show sometimes, so it wasn't like a deal-breaker. I was just like, I don't know. That being said, apparently this one's working with a version of the Prime Directive that you don't help a warp, non-capable species. How much do you know of the Prime Directive? I have to ask these questions, I forget.
Wouldn't it? You don't help anybody who doesn't have higher intelligence yet.
The Prime Directive states that one of their key tenets is you do not assist or make contact with a planet that is not made warp-capable technology. This works with the theory that generally by that point in their planet's life cycle, most all of their nation states or nations in general will have come together under the banner of furthering their species and exploring scientifically. That is a huge step forward in advancement technologically, and primarily does not have a militaristic goal for it. So the ability to go further means you are willing to explore and learn. And if you're at that stage where you're capable of doing such, that probably means you're going to be a peaceful-ish species.
Okay.
So there's a rule that you're not supposed to help or make contact with a species that don't have this. And they say, I'm pretty sure they said something about this species not being warp capable yet, so they shouldn't be there. Or they had to be careful monitoring them so as they weren't seen.
Yeah, because
but then they
wasn't
go
it
and
like
fix,
there was like a massive drought, and if
there was some kind of weird
there was some
kind of drought going on. Their projection said it was going to last like 90 years and wipe out most of the species. But then they go and they fix the drought by making their well okay and full of water, apparently. So I guess we're working with a version of the Prime Directive that says, don't do any of the things we just stated unless you're not seen. In which case, go nuts.
I was thinking maybe it was like an exception, like you can save a species if you're careful.
Well, there's always been very, very mixed results of the Prime Directive, and it's really, really polarizing as to what variation you go with. Probably the one that just blatantly either disregards or warps to their own agenda was Janeway and Voyager, who pretty much just said, no, we're not going to help these people. They're not capable. We can't make contact. If we do, it'll upset the balance of their planet and essentially give nukes to cavemen.
Well,
and other times she would be like, yeah, we're going to help them because they can get me what I want. So
I was like, they kind of broke that rule in
every
Star Trek 2 Into Darkness.
Yeah,
because they were on that planet where
because Spock was reaming them out for being like, you shouldn't have done this, we shouldn't have been there, blah 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 blah.
But then they like froze a volcano that would have destroyed the planet.
Yeah, it's weird and complicated, and I recommend you not think too hard about it, because if you do, quite literally your brain might melt. It has shattered better people than you trying to figure this out. It's like the laws of robotics. The Prime Directive is essentially perfect, but it is horribly flawed.
Yeah. I do have a question
What's up?
for you.
What's up?
I know this is probably in your notes somewhere. Aren't Vulcans supposed to be like super peaceful, like very big pacifists?
Yes, and we will get to this.
I was about to say, because like their
this.
whole shoot first with Klingons.
Well, we're not there just yet, so this kind of relates to the technology aspect of everything, how it's all touchscreens and kind of bright lights in chrome and steel. I was wondering why this couldn't have been set after the destruction of Romulus, which takes place in the first Star Trek Abrams movie.
Yeah.
And we could have just had their bad guy be an offset to the Klingon Empire that the Federation. Let's say the Federation is helping the Romulans try and rebuild, and they're saying, yes, we will help you restore or get a new kind of planet going and help your species if you'll join the Federation and work within our guidelines. And with the Romulan High Council dissolved, they could pretty much be like, well, sure, why not? We followed the Tal Shiar and the Senate for so long, and that got us absolutely nowhere, so why not? The Klingons have had a long-standing rivalry and feud with the Romulans. So it would make sense that this sect of the Klingon Empire might look at this and go, no! The Federation's betrayed us! They're going to take in Romulans and they'll stab us in the back! We have to rebuild the Empire stronger! And that could be like a need for them to do that. But with the tech differing so highly, I just wondered why. Because supposedly this is set 10 years before the original series. And in that time span, we're going to go from touchscreens and voice commands to flips and diodes and switches and buttons that go like they were manufactured in the 1960s because that's when the show was made.
I was kind of wondering like which universe this sets place in, because I mean if it's
from
Abrams
everything
movies,
I've read, it's supposed to take place in the Prime universe. There's the two universes. There's the Prime universe and there's the Kelvin timeline. The Prime timeline is where Kirk, Spock, McCoy had all their adventures in the original series and everything was peaceful and fine.
Yeah.
Kelvin timeline is where Romulans went back in time and distorted history.
And they could basically do whatever they want because
More or
J.J.
less, yeah.
Abrams said so.
Well, yeah, I was kind of okay with the '09 movie that came out because it did inject a much-needed fresh shot in the arm to Star Trek.
Yes.
But it still paid really great detail and attention to what came before it.
Yeah.
And honored that. So I really don't have a problem with the '09 movie. Into Darkness, it can go chase its own ass as far as I'm concerned. I really don't like that movie.
A lot of fans don't.
Well, it's a poor man's remake of probably one of the greatest Star Trek movie of all time. And it definitely sits up there as one of the best movies, sci-fi movies of all time.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were mad that they tried to cop it out and turn it into Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, no, it would have worked much better if they had just done something else.
Yeah. Because, like, they sit there, they're like, no, he's not Khan, it's not Wrath of Khan. And then it was like, yeah, it's Wrath of Khan.
I am Khan! And it's like, go fuck yourself, Abrams. And I can't wait until Kylo Ren turns out to actually be Darth Vader that was cloned.
I would... No.
Anyway, getting back on with it. This is one of the continuity gaps that I noticed. Apparently there's a robot on the bridge of the Sanju.
Yeah, the guy with all the stuff on his head?
Yeah, there's a guy with like a box looking, he looks like a robot. I don't know if he is a robot or he just looks like one. But, yeah, Next Generation established that Commander Data, a Noonien Sun robot, was the first artificial creature, and I could be wrong on this, but I'm working from memory for a show that I haven't seen in close to a decade and a half now. But if I'm not mistaken, Data was the first artificially created Starfleet officer. And he chose to go into Starfleet. And that was kind of what made him a big deal. But now if we've had robots all this time, it's like, I guess you weren't that big a deal, Data. Let's see. Oh yes, after meeting the Klingons and discovering that it is the Klingons from a far ways away, which I have something else that I just remembered that we'll talk about when we get into their reveal, or their ship's reveal, I should say. There's this bizarre thing out in the distance of space that's distorting their signals, and they can't get a lock on it, so they can't tractor beam it in, they can't get any readings on it, so one of their members volunteers to go out in a spacesuit and get scans. While out there, she encounters somebody else in an EVA suit, and it turns out to be a Klingon, and they pull out this really cool-looking bat'leth, very ceremonial-looking, and she kills him in combat, and flies back. Well, in so doing, apparently there's a whole lot of radiation in the area they're in, so her drifting back got her really badly radiation burned. So she's in sickbay getting repaired. And apparently, I guess they don't have radios from sickbay, or they just felt it would be more dramatic if she put on a robe and ran to the bridge. But I was just wondering, I was like, don't think it would be that hard to relay a report from sickbay. That way you could stay there, because they immediately tell her to go back to sickbay and finish getting healed up.
Well, we kind of saw a similar thing in the first movie where, like,
The Abrams movie, I'm assuming.
Yeah, where Kirk was like having all these different symptoms, and McCoy was following him, hitting him with all these injections.
Right.
Because he was trying to tell him that the storm in space was what happened when he was born. It was his dad, and it was time travelers.
That was a little different. Kirk wasn't supposed to be on the ship at that point, so if he were there and radioed through, they would just be able to say, no, go get him and take him away. Plus, there's a lot more emotions you can display facially between people, and if he actually got there and looked Pike in person, then he could be like, this is what's happening, you just see me looking like this? And then you could just be like, okay, we're going to have to take care of this shit. So I let that one slide because there's a lot of reason for it, but with this one there doesn't seem to be, because literally all she does is she goes up to the bridge, tells them it's Klingons, they don't believe her, send her back to sickbay.
Yeah.
So there's no reason story-wise this couldn't have just been a relay from sickbay. That being said, the Klingons kind of sounded congested. I don't know about you. But
yeah, it sounded like they had a bunch of phlegm in their throat.
Yeah, every time they were talking, it was like, yeah, it's like, God, are you gonna spit up a hairball next? This could be something having to do with a degenerative disease. There's a lot of fan theories floating around about why the Klingons in the original series didn't have forehead ridges when they first showed up, and some theorize that it's a disease that affected the Klingons. And this might be an offshoot of that disease that affects them vocally, so I don't know. Doug Jones is fucking awesome in this show, as he is in just about everything. Well, except for the Bye Bye Man. But nobody was good in the Bye Bye Man because that was a giant piece of shit. And I don't blame him for the Bye Bye Man, but I will say he probably could have just said, oh yeah, it was a lot of fun to be in, like a big live horror movie rather than under makeup all the time. I just left it at that, but he went into some weird tangent about the Bye Bye Man's backstory and how he was interesting and shit. I'm just like, I get that you're trying not to say that you're doing this for a paycheck, but I don't think you need to try that hard, Doug. No one will fault you if you did this just for a paycheck. Well, actually, after Doug Jones, this brings me up to something that was a huge continuity gaffe. When they communicated with people, and they present themselves as holograms walking around the ship.
Okay.
This is something that really, really bugged me, because the hologram technology, I'm rewatching DS9 right now, and this was something that was developed slightly before the Dominion War, was the ability for them to, rather than have a on-screen broadcast, somebody could essentially project an image directly to the bridge or wherever the holo emitter is. Okay. And this would allow them to move about the ship, and they could get a fuller range of what's going on.
So, like, Star Wars, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, kind of like that?
Sort of, yes. Except the projection is kind of situated in this little square or whatever that they would set up, and it would have to work in a very certain place.
Gotcha.
But apparently, now we've got it in a show that's supposed to be set 10 years before the original series, which that series is set about, I want to say, 75 to 80 years before Deep Space Nine. So, I guess just go to hell, anybody who paid attention. Like I say, that's just a personal thing, I understand.
Didn't you say, like, you would think this was fine if it was set in, like, the Kelvin timeline?
Well, that's kind of my big thing. If they would just say, yeah, it's set in the Kelvin timeline, I'd be like, okay, whatever. They can basically write their own rules, because there's not a lot fleshed out about that timeline in that universe. So you could say this is a super experimental thing that they just did for a while. But you couldn't, because something else happens later in the episode that includes that. So, but yeah, most all of my problems that I have with this could be swept away virtually just by saying it's in this other time. It's different. It's not in the main universe. It's in this other universe. Whatever. But they're not, and they're saying all of this is going to culminate in the original series, leading up to, thematic-wise, visual-wise, will lead up to the original series.
I just don't think in this day and age you can do that.
It'll be difficult.
Because like the original series was made in the 60s, and it's hard to...
Well, it was also very much a product of its time. It did what it did because it had a limited budget and technology to work with, so a lot of their visuals had to be done very low-key. Season 3, if you read about the third season of Star Trek, the original series, it's a wonder they ever made one episode, honestly. The network shut their budget down to basically nothing. There were points where they couldn't have the entire cast on set, and even some days where they didn't even get to have the big three on set at the same time.
Oh.
They just kind of had to do pickup shots when they could. It's insane. But my next big question came when our main character, I'm assuming, is Michael Burnham.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, so is she part Vulcan, or was she raised by Vulcans? And then about 5 minutes later, I have to say, raised it is!
Yeah.
But both of these are a problem because she was raised by Sarek, Spock's father. Yes. And so...
I know a little bit.
You know a little bit. Congratulations. But I don't know how much you do know. Sarek's relationship with Spock was rocky at best.
Because his son was half Vulcan,
yes,
Vulcan,
and,
not full Vulcan.
Yes, and while he did marry a human woman, she had devoted herself to Vulcan ways and ideals. So while she was still human to an extent, she very much lived like a Vulcan woman would. I'm not saying it couldn't have happened, but it really seems like this would have had some kind of an impact on Spock's upbringing. Or at the very least, you would have known about it. And this kind of pissed me off because it gave me really bad vibes of Star Trek V, where you meet Sarek, Spock's long-lost half-brother. That was never mentioned, never brought up, never even theorized about, and has absolutely no impact to the story of him being related to Spock whatsoever.
Okay.
But it was there. And so that was kind of just something that kind of irked me. Another little thing that irked me, again, this is just a very minor technical thing, and it's just for me, the badges on the shirt. For the Next Generation, they upgraded the communicator to being the badge. In the original series, the badge was just an emblem that was sewn into the shirt.
Yeah.
We still in this series have the flip-out communicator, but we also have an actual badge that is pinned to the uniform. So it makes me wonder, with the very intricate designs of the uniform that they've got, why not just have the Starfleet emblem sewn into the uniform rather than being a physical object?
I think I can answer this one.
Okay, please do.
So at the end of the second episode, we see, I guess I'm going to jump into a spoiler when the captain dies. We see her holding the captain's old badge and it has her name and stuff. It's like a dog tag.
Oh, okay. I guess I just didn't pick up on that.
I saw that one.
Okay.
So they
I retract my statements then.
Like those
that's actually really cool.
Those are like dog tags.
Okay, that's actually really neat. I don't know why I didn't pick up on that.
I just caught it like
okay.
when I watched it. So
okay, I retract that. Now that I know this, I'm actually really on board for that. That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll work with that. Let's see. I think that was nope. Actually, my last two culminate in the end of the first episode, which is humans cannot do the Vulcan nerve pinch. At least not well, I think. Because
maybe that's why the captain got up 10 seconds later.
Right. Well, to frame this, apparently Vulcans, and this brings into what you were talking about earlier with Vulcans being pacifists, apparently Vulcans have encountered Klingons in the past, and the first encounter resulted in the Vulcan ship being destroyed. Apparently, that meant that rather than find a way around the Klingon area, the Vulcan ships then opened fire first. And so that kind of put me off, because Vulcans are renowned pacifists. It's one of the reasons Spock was kind of looked down on by the Vulcan high society, because he joined Starfleet, which, while it is an exploratory endeavor, it does have a militaristic aspect to it.
Yep.
Which Vulcans are renowned for not wanting anything to be a part of. They will supply the technology side, but they will not do anything weapon-wise. That being said, Vulcans are very powerful, very strong physically.
Yeah.
And one of the things they do is the Vulcan nerve pinch, for anybody who hasn't watched it. I don't know why you're watching this if you haven't watched it, but whatever. But what they do is they lean over and they go, I don't need you.
Yeah.
And what they do is they pinch off part of your nerves, and it makes you pass out. Part of this is because Vulcans are very, very strong. Humans are not quite as strong as Vulcans. So it doesn't actually work for them. Which I guess you could always just say, well, yeah, she was just really bad at it, and that's why the captain got up like 10 seconds later. But it begs the question, why didn't she just do something else? But that's just it. And my final thought on the first episode is that Burnham walks out and says they have to open fire on the Klingon vessel, which will bring me back to my other statement in just a second. And she says, no, I am in command right now, you will follow my orders. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, you just knocked out your captain because she didn't want to follow your orders. So I'm getting kind of this Janeway-esque vibe out of her, which is basically, you will do what I say and I am your god! Seriously, you should go watch some of the... Actually, no, don't go watch Voyager. Go watch some of SF Debris' reviews of Voyager episodes. They're way funnier. But it didn't set a good precedent with her, which you could say this is all a learning experience, which if this were like her first couple of years on a Starfleet vessel, I would understand. But she's apparently been serving under this captain and with this crew for 7 years at this point.
Yeah. So
I'm not real sure why they feel the need to try and bring in this element of confrontation she wants. I understand that it flashes back later that the colony she was a part of was attacked by Klingons, and Sarek was apparently the person who rescued her and did a Vulcan mind meld and saved her, and was then able to bring her back to Vulcan, and she was raised by Vulcans. But at the same time, it really kind of feels like... it feels off, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But that ended episode 1 for me. Episode 2! Let's see, my first immediate thought was when we see Michael in the Vulcan learning pits, or whatever, as Vulcans would discriminate the shit out of Spock for being half human, and they pushed him away for that, but they totally let a 100% human do this shit. It feels weird is all I'm saying. There's also a scene, I'm not going to say this couldn't happen, but later in the episode there's a scene with the holo communication with the Klingons. So I guess not only did somebody else invent this way before DS9, but the Klingons invented it as well. But they're all having the holo conference as well with the other commanders of the Klingon fleet.
Yeah, I saw that.
And there is a Klingon female amongst one of them as a captain. While it's not unheard of, Klingon society is predominantly a male-oriented species as far as their hierarchy of power. Like the biggest ones that came out on top for a while were the Duras sisters in Star Trek The Next Generation.
I vaguely know.
They were also in Star Trek Generations. They were working with Michael McDowell.
Okay.
Or Roddy McDowell, sorry. And, what do you do? Okay.
Just
well, anyway, it just felt kind of weird. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but having a Klingon female, especially close to 100 years before Klingon society even thought about reforming itself a little bit is kind of weird.
I have to.
Okay.
Yep. We're back.
Yes.
Sorry.
So, yeah, we had to take a quick stop there for a second. But the Klingon woman, I'm okay with, sort of. But at the same time, it's one of those you could go either way with.
Yeah.
And I'll say, whatever. My big reaction, though, was apparently the Klingon guy in this episode, Takuvma.
Yeah.
His second, I guess that's what he is, apparently gave some illusion that he created the cloaking technology that the Klingons use.
Yeah.
It was kind of vague because they also have like the sensor scrambling thing, so I don't know if he was meaning when he basically said that he made the ability for us to shield ourselves from Starfleet. And I don't know if he was talking about the cloaking technology or whether or not he was talking about the scrambling. But the big reveal is that this is a cloaked Klingon ship sitting out there in the nether regions of space. So it just kind of felt weird. Let's see. Notes about Sarek never telling Spock about another person that would have helped him with his upbringing. Everybody else had in the DS9 communicators. Apparently, this happens like just after a big fight. Takuvma's ship is strong enough that it can ram into another ship and split it in half.
That was kind of weird.
It was. I questioned why they would bother cloaking and then ramming the ship. It seems like it would have been way easier to use a tractor beam, because you already blew your load. That yes, these ships can cloak. When the ship uncloaks and reveals that it's been sitting there in front of them basically the entire time. I just wondered why he wouldn't just lead with the fact that it's like, my ship is strong enough I can shear another in two. The might of the Empire rests in my hands.
Yeah, man.
One last thing I'm going to say about the guy. Anytime he's speechifying, he sounds like he's close to breaking into tears.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And it sounded really weird. And I'm not real sure what was up with that. I don't know if it was just the poor guy having to act with that wall of phlegm right behind every bird. That probably hurt after a while, so I think he might have just been in pain. When they finally get a moment and the Klingons start collecting their dead, for those of you who don't know, the Klingons have this giant sarcophagus ship where they collect their dead off the battlefield, put them in caskets, and then attach the caskets to the outside of the ship. Which I think is kind of an interesting idea for the Klingon honorifics and their rituals of the dead, which are touched on throughout the series. But I kind of like that. But apparently, our main character, Michael Burnham, runs up to the captain and says, look, we can't kill this guy because they're trying to put a torpedo on one of the dead guys. And it'll get sucked up, and when Takuvma goes to do the burial rites, he'll get exploded with the torpedo. But Michael Burnham runs up and is like, no, he's really high up in the Klingon Empire. We could use him as a bargaining tool and play to his honor and not make him a martyr if we do this. And all I could think was, how do you know this? As far as you know, this creepy sect of weirdos just showed up in the middle of nowhere and opened fire on you. As far as you're aware, you have no idea if this is the Klingon Central Government, if this is just an offshoot. You're making a lot of assumptions that this guy is really well placed in the Klingon Empire.
Yeah, and then she was like, oh, well, he killed the captain. Bam. Bye.
Well,
You're dead.
that leads me into one of my last points. When they do beam onto the ship to capture Takuvma, apparently him and the captain of the ship get into this really kick-ass fight with batlets and swords that they have, or just random junk they have lying around. And I'm fairly certain Michael Burnham could have stunned Takuma.
Yeah.
But instead, she hesitates. The Takuma stabs the captain, and she flips it over to kill, and then kills the person she said they were going to have to capture for bargaining.
Yeah.
And then they beam back over.
I thought we were talking about this. I think, like, this as a whole was a pilot. Most of it was a pilot. And then at the end, they were like, well, actually, the writers came up with this, and we want to go in this direction. Because the preview for the next couple episodes were, like, her going to, like, this prison ship, and then she's going to be on this ship and her old
She's going to be on the Discovery with a mishmash of her crew, some random people, and some new people.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, you were sending her to prison, and now prison has turned into a ship of its own. That's it just kind of seems like it's all over the place, but that is where I picked up, like, when she was getting transported.
Yeah. When
I saw the badge, I was like, oh, it's a dog tag.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Speaking of transportation, the beaming, they changed for some very inexplicable reason. Like, even in the Abrams movies, they had it to where it was basically this swoosh of green lights, or bright white lights or green lights or whatever, and you energize.
Yeah.
And you teleport to, you transport somebody to one place or another.
I always liked the way that looked on there.
It looks very nice. It looks futuristic. But now, instead, it looks like they do this little digitizing pattern of them out.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, like, that seems like something you didn't need to change, but you did anyway. And then you went out of your way to call attention to it by getting a tight close-up on them.
Yeah.
And saying, yes, look at our transporter technology! And it's like, you're going to go to it looking a lot stranger after this is done.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why you did this. But, yeah, apart from all of that, Star Trek Discovery, I'm not real sure how to feel about this. The first couple episodes have left me very mixed. I like a lot of the aesthetic designs. I came around to liking the idea of the uniform designs. I think they look very neat and very stylish. I'm still a little confused why this has to be a prequel series and not something set after the events in the Prime Universe in the 2009 movie, because you could then make the reasonings like, yeah, there are new suits and the color coordination for the uniforms changed yet again at some point, because in the original series, gold was command level, red was security level.
Yeah.
And then in, like, Next Generation DS9 Voyager, it went to red being command and gold being security and engineering and such. So you could very easily just say, yeah, they went to the old pattern of doing things, so it went like that. And honestly, I think it would just work out better if they just went ahead and set this after Romulus. I think it would give them a lot more room to play with, and that they're going mostly for a nostalgia grab for basically jingling stuff from the original series, being, yeah, we got this, see? Because apparently Mudd is supposed to be in one of the upcoming episodes, which he's a guy from one episode, maybe two. One or two episodes of the original series.
Yeah.
And he was never, like, a really big player, but apparently he's going to be, like, this mercenary slave trader guy. And I'm not real sure what to think about this. My big problem, though, remains with our main character, Michael Burnham. Because it feels like they wanted to make a Vulcan character, but Spock was one of the first Vulcans to be placed highly in Starfleet.
Yeah, so they really couldn't.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're like, oh yeah, we can have her be raised by Vulcans, so she can be a hard ass when we need her to, but we can have her be emotional when we need her to. And the two don't really conflict very well, because she was, again, raised by Vulcans, and this would have been much better for her just being essentially a Vulcan, which I get you don't want to have her end up being like the Enterprise chick. She was a Vulcan transfer.
Yeah.
But,
plus, like, it kind of made it seem like her 7 years on the ship had basically undone everything the Vulcans taught her about controlling emotions.
Right up until Sarek needed to project his Katra into her head.
Yeah.
And contact her that way. Which apparently Vulcans can do.
Yeah, that's
But that's just my opinions. Jared, did you have fun with it?
I thought it was okay. Like I said, I'm giving it my 4 episode rule, because it definitely seems they real quick shifted direction that they were going.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't have an idea where it's going by the 4th episode, I'm out.
Right. One last thing I will say that was a personal gripe that kind of bugged me was the sound effects between ship firing.
Yeah, they definitely went with the
went
Abrams
with
style.
the Abrams universe, pa-choo, 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 rather than the phasers going, psh, psh, which, you know, I get. You want to make it sound a little more stylish, but at the same time, if you're going to be using a technology that has been proven to be a laser-based format rather than a projectile-based format,
Yeah.
just keep it phasers. Don't make it to where it's pew pew pew. Star Wars is pew pew pew.
Or set it in the Kelvin timeline.
Or just set it in the Kelvin timeline, and that would fix just about all the complaints that I had. But then a lot of other people did. Oh, it's not attached to Star Trek. I can't watch it this way.
Yeah. I think that's probably why they said that. Like, probably why they haven't come out and said that.
Maybe, I don't know. But like I say, I'm gonna give it to the end of the series, end of the season. But I think I might end up liking the Orville better.
Well, guys, let us know what you think. Hit us up in the comments down below. Like, let us know if you want to see us do more of these, because we're kind of playing with new after shows since we don't know what the fuck's going on with S.H.I.E.L.D. right now.
It's going to be Thord. Agent of Thord. They're in space.
That was my guess.
Everything's in space.
Yep. And Inhumans, is gonna have 1 season, 1 only. Because apparently it bombed.
They fucked up so hard they canceled the entire thing.
Fuck up the Inhumans.
After 1 episode that hasn't come out yet.
2.
Oh, they've had 2 now?
They did the first 2 episodes premiered.
Oh, right.
Alright, guys. Well, let us know what you think. And drop a suggestion for a name for the show. If you have any. Alright, guys. Until next time, I guess we will see you guys later.
Later.